My mom opened a credit card in my teen daughter's name for school clothes, said you owe me for raising her, then maxed it at Sephora. Now my kid can't get student loans and I'm filing a police report with her sitting right there. It wasn't a few $100s. It was $8,347.62 in fraudulent charges on a credit card she opened in my daughter's name. My daughter is 17. I found out 3 days ago when my daughter came to me crying because she'd been rejected for a student loan. The financial aid office told her she had an outstanding credit card debt in collections that tanked her credit score to 512. She was confused because she's never had a credit card. I was confused because I sure as hell didn't open one for her. I pulled her credit report that night. There it was. A Visa card opened 18 months ago when she was barely 16. The billing address was my mother's house. I called my mom the next morning. I was calm. I said, "Mom, there's a credit card in Emma's name at your address. Do you know anything about this?" She didn't even hesitate. "Oh, that. Yeah, I opened it to buy her school clothes since you're always complaining about money." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You opened a credit card in a minor's name without telling me? Don't be so dramatic. I was going to pay it off. She's my granddaughter. I have a right to help her." I checked the statements. The first few months were normal stuff. Target, Old Navy, some grocery stores. Then it got weird. Sephora. $340. Ulta. $567. Another Sephora charge for $890. Nordstrom for $1,200. A furniture store. DoorDash charges almost daily. I confronted her again yesterday. Showed her the statements. "Mom, you said this was for school clothes. This is makeup and furniture and restaurant delivery." She got defensive immediately. "I raised that girl half her life while you were working. You owe me. I deserve to treat myself sometimes. With a credit card you fraudulently opened in her name? It's not fraud. She's family." That's when I lost it. I told her she had 24 hours to pay off the entire balance or I was reporting it to the police. She laughed at me. Actually laughed. Said I'd never do it because it would ruin the family. So this morning I drove to the police station with my daughter. We brought every document. The credit report. The statements. Proof of my daughter's age. The officer was really kind. He said this happens more often than people think, usually with parents or grandparents who justify it as family money. I called my mom and told her to meet me at the station. I wanted to give her one last chance to make this right before I filed. She showed up with my aunt and my younger sister. All three of them tried to talk me out of it in the parking lot. My mom kept saying, "You're really going to do this to your own mother? Over money?" I said, "You're really going to let your granddaughter start her adult life with ruined credit and debt she didn't create?" She said I was being cruel. That she made a mistake. That she'd pay it back eventually. My aunt said I was tearing the family apart. My sister said I was a bitch. I walked inside and filed the report anyway. My daughter was shaking the whole time. The officer took our statement while my mom sat in the lobby. When we came out, she was crying, and she said, "I hope you're happy. You just destroyed your own mother." My daughter started college fund applications last night. Without that debt on her record, she might actually qualify for aid now. But my dad called me this morning and said my mom is devastated and the whole family is furious with me. My sister sent me a long text about how I'm dead to her. My aunt said I should be ashamed. The fraud department is investigating. The detective said it will probably take a few months. My mom might actually face charges. Part of me feels like maybe I should have just handled this privately. Maybe I should have set up a payment plan with her or something. Everyone's acting like I committed some unforgivable sin. Now I'm wondering if I took this too far. Am I a butthole? The detective called me yesterday morning and said they found something I needed to see in person. When I got to the station, there were 3 bankers' boxes on the table. Statements going back 4 years. Not 18 months like I thought. 4 years. The officer said my mom had opened the first card when my daughter was 13, right after my divorce finalized and we moved in with my parents for 6 months. She'd been doing this the entire time. The first card got maxed out at $5,000. She paid the minimum for a while, then opened a second card in my daughter's name to pay off the first. Then a third card. Then a fourth. By the time I found out, she had cycling debt across multiple accounts, all in my kid's name. The $8,347 I saw was just the most recent card. The total fraudulent debt was over $34,000. I sat there staring at all these papers and couldn't breathe. The detective asked if I was okay and I just shook my head. My daughter missed school that day because I needed her there to see it too. She cried when she saw how long this had been going on. She kept saying, "Grandma did this when I was in middle school?" The furniture charges made sense now. My mom redecorated her entire house 2 years ago. New couch, new dining table, new bedroom set. I remember complimenting it and she said she'd saved up. The Sephora and Ulta charges were constant, sometimes twice a week. DoorDash nearly every single day, $30 to $60 per order. She'd been funding her entire lifestyle on my daughter's stolen identity. My dad called me that afternoon. He didn't know. He genuinely had no idea. He said mom handled all their finances and he never questioned it. When I told him the full amount, he got quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I need to call you back." He showed up at my house 3 hours later with a checkbook. He wanted to pay off every card immediately. I told him no. I said if he paid it off, the credit companies would have no reason to pursue charges against mom, and she needed to face actual consequences. He started crying. My dad never cries. He said he felt like he failed both me and his granddaughter. My sister showed up at my work 2 days ago. She cornered me in the parking lot and screamed that I was tearing the family apart over mistakes. I asked her if she knew about the credit cards. She went quiet. Then she admitted mom had opened one in her name 2 years ago, but she'd paid it off quietly to keep the peace. I lost it. I asked why she didn't warn me. Why she let mom do this to my daughter when she knew what mom was capable of. She said she thought mom had learned her lesson. Then she said I was being vindictive by involving the police instead of handling it like adults. I told her enabling financial abuse isn't handling anything like an adult. She called me a self-righteous bitch and drove off. My mom's been sending me texts nonstop. Long paragraphs about how she made mistakes but she always loved my daughter. How I'm choosing money over family. How she sacrificed everything raising me and this is how I repay her. I haven't responded to a single one. Yesterday she sent me a text that said your daughter will never forgive you for sending her grandmother to jail. I blocked her number after that. The prosecutor called this morning. They're moving forward with identity theft charges. Multiple counts. My mom could face up to 5 years. My aunt called me immediately after, screaming that I was killing my mother and I'd regret this for the rest of my life. My daughter's credit is still destroyed. Even with the police report and fraud claims filed, it takes months to remove fraudulent accounts. She had to defer her college applications because she can't get financial aid until this is resolved. She's devastated. She worked so hard to get good grades and now she's watching all her friends commit to schools while she's stuck in limbo. She's been having panic attacks. She had one at school last week and the nurse called me. When I picked her up, she said she felt like her whole future got stolen. I tried to reassure her that we'd fix this, but honestly I don't know how long that's going to take. My dad moved out. He's staying with his brother. He said he can't look at my mom right now. She's been calling him sobbing, begging him to come home. He won't answer. Half my family isn't speaking to me. The other half is acting like I'm supposed to just forgive and forget because that's what family does. My cousin sent me a Facebook message saying I was going to hell for doing this to my own mother. But my daughter told me last night that she's grateful I believed her and fought for her. She said a lot of her friends' parents would have just swept it under the rug to avoid drama. That made me feel like maybe I'm doing the right thing, even if everyone else thinks I'm a monster. Now I keep wondering if I should have just let my dad pay it off and dealt with my mom privately. Maybe I didn't need to involve the law. Maybe I'm destroying my family over something that could have been resolved differently. Am I wrong? My mom's arraignment was scheduled for Thursday. She didn't show up. The prosecutor called me that morning asking if I knew where she was. I didn't. My dad didn't either. He'd been trying to reach her all week to convince her to get a lawyer and she kept ignoring him. The court issued a bench warrant. She's officially a fugitive now. My aunt called me screaming that this was my fault. That I'd pushed my mom to run and now she could end up in even more trouble. I hung up on her. I'm done explaining myself to people who think financial fraud is acceptable as long as it's family doing it. 2 days later, my mom showed up at my daughter's school. The principal called me at work. She said my mom had tried to sign my daughter out early, claiming there was a family emergency. When the office asked for identification and saw her name wasn't on the approved pickup list, my mom started yelling that she was the grandmother and had every right to see her granddaughter. Security had to escort her out. I left work immediately. When I got to the school, my daughter was in the counselor's office having a panic attack. She said my mom had been waiting in the parking lot that morning and tried to approach her before first period. My daughter ran inside and my mom followed her, shouting that they needed to talk. I filed for a protective order that afternoon. The clerk said it would take a few days to process. In the meantime, I called my daughter's school and gave them explicit instructions that my mom was not allowed on campus under any circumstances. That night, my mom started posting on Facebook long rants about how I'd stolen her granddaughter and turned the family against her. How she'd sacrificed everything and this was how I repaid her. She tagged half our extended family. My cousin commented saying I should be ashamed. My uncle said I was being cruel. Someone I didn't even recognize said I sounded like a terrible daughter. I reported every single post. Facebook didn't remove any of them. My daughter deactivated all her social media. She said kids at school had seen the posts and were asking her about it. One girl asked if it was true that she'd sent her grandmother to jail. My daughter came home crying and said she couldn't handle everyone knowing our business. The prosecutor filed additional charges for failure to appear. My dad called me sobbing, begging me to talk to the prosecutor about dropping everything. He said my mom was having a breakdown and couldn't handle the stress. I asked him where she was staying since she clearly wasn't at their house. He said he didn't know. I found out 3 days later. She'd been staying with my sister. My sister knew about the bench warrant. She knew mom was supposed to be in court. She hid her anyway. When I confronted her, she said mom needed family support and I was the one who'd created this mess by involving the police in the first place. I told her she could be charged with harboring a fugitive. She laughed at me. She said I'd lost my mind and was drunk on power from having the cops on my side. Then she said something I can't stop thinking about. She said you're going to regret this when mom's dead and you wasted your last years with her over credit card debt. I asked her if she understood that this wasn't just about money. That mom had stolen my daughter's entire financial future. That my kid couldn't go to college because of this. She said my daughter could just get a job and go to community college later. Like it was that simple. The police found my mom yesterday morning. She was still at my sister's house. They arrested her there. My sister called me immediately, hysterical, saying I'd sent cops to her home and traumatized her children. Her kids are 12 and 9. I'm sure watching their grandmother get arrested was scary. But maybe my sister should have thought about that before hiding a fugitive. My mom's bail got set at $50,000. My dad can't afford it. He used most of their savings paying down the credit card debt even though I told him not to. He called me asking if I'd help with bail. I said no. He said she's your mother. I said she's a criminal who stole from her own granddaughter and then ran from the law. He hung up on me. My mom's still in jail. She's been there 4 days now. My aunt started a GoFundMe for her bail. The description says she's a devoted grandmother who made a small mistake and her vindictive daughter is ruining her life. It's raised $3,000 so far. I reported it to GoFundMe for fraud. They haven't taken it down yet. My daughter had her first therapy appointment yesterday. The therapist said she's showing signs of complex trauma. She's having nightmares about debt collectors and police. She's terrified of checking the mail. She told the therapist she feels like everything's her fault because the credit cards were in her name. I sat in that waiting room wanting to scream. My mom did this. My mom traumatized my kid and now everyone's acting like I'm the villain for holding her accountable. The protective order got approved. My mom's not allowed within 500 feet of me or my daughter. She's not allowed at our house, my daughter's school, or my workplace. If she violates it, she goes back to jail immediately. My dad texted me last night saying I've gone too far with the restraining order. That mom would never hurt us and I'm being paranoid. I reminded him that she showed up at my daughter's school and chased her inside the building. He said she just wanted to talk and I'm twisting everything. I blocked his number too. Half my family's calling me cruel. The other half isn't speaking to me at all. My daughter's future is still in limbo. My mom's facing 5 years in prison. And somehow I'm the one lying awake at night wondering if I'm the bad guy here. The credit bureau finally removed the fraudulent accounts from my daughter's report last week. Her credit score jumped from 512 to 702 overnight. She should have been celebrating. Instead, she had a panic attack in the school bathroom because a letter came in the mail confirming the changes and she thought it was another collections notice. My mom's preliminary hearing is in 2 weeks. The prosecutor called to prep me for testimony. She said my mom's public defender is planning to argue that this was a misunderstanding between family members and that I'm being vindictive. They're going to try to make me look like the bad guy in front of a judge. I asked what I should say if they ask why I didn't just handle this privately. She said to tell the truth. That I gave my mom multiple chances and she laughed in my face. That she maxed out cards in a minor's name for makeup and furniture while pretending it was for school clothes. That she fled from her court date and stalked my daughter at school. The prosecutor said it would help if my daughter testified too. I told her absolutely not. My kid's been through enough. My sister's been sending me emails since I blocked her number. Long essays about how I'm destroying our mother and how the family will never recover from this. The latest one said mom's lost 20 pounds and isn't eating in jail. Like I'm supposed to feel guilty that she's facing consequences for committing multiple felonies. I didn't respond. I've stopped responding to anyone who thinks I should have just swallowed this. My daughter got accepted to State University 3 days ago. Full academic scholarship. She doesn't have to take out a single loan now that her credit's fixed. When she showed me the acceptance letter, she started crying and said Grandma almost took this from me. That's when it really hit me how close we came to losing everything. If I hadn't pulled that credit report when I did, my daughter would have spent the next decade trying to unbury herself from debt she never created. She would have missed college deadlines, missed scholarship opportunities, maybe given up on school entirely. But my family doesn't see it that way. My cousin posted on Facebook yesterday saying I chose money over my own mother's freedom. 47 people liked it. I recognized most of the names. People I've known my whole life. People who watched me grow up. All of them convinced I'm a monster. My dad's been calling from different numbers trying to get me to answer. I finally picked up yesterday. He said mom's lawyer thinks if I write a letter to the judge asking for leniency, they might reduce the charges to a misdemeanor. He said it would mean everything to mom. That it might keep her out of prison. I asked him if he was serious. If he actually thought I should help the person who stole my daughter's identity and then tried to chase her down at school. He said mom was desperate and not thinking clearly and that I should have compassion. I told him I was done having this conversation and hung up. He sent me a text an hour later saying I'd regret this someday. That mom wouldn't live forever and I was wasting what time we had left. I blocked that number too. My daughter's therapist said she wants to do family sessions. She thinks my daughter needs to work through her feelings about my mom in a safe space. The problem is my daughter doesn't want to work through anything. She wants to forget my mom exists. She flinches every time someone mentions her. Last week a teacher asked about her grandmother in casual conversation and my daughter had to leave class. She told me later she felt sick hearing the word grandmother because all she can think about is those credit card statements and knowing it started when she was 13. The university sent enrollment forms. My daughter's supposed to pick a major and register for fall classes. She keeps staring at the paperwork and not filling it out. When I asked why, she said it doesn't feel real. That she's waiting for something else to go wrong. I tried to reassure her that it's over. That the accounts are closed and her credit's fixed and she's safe now. She looked at me and said, "Is it really over? Grandma's still out there." She's right. My mom made bail 2 days ago. My aunt's GoFundMe raised $12,000. Enough to cover the bondsman. I found out when my sister posted a photo of them all together celebrating mom's release. The caption said family sticks together no matter what. The comments were full of people congratulating them for standing by my mom. Someone said I should be ashamed for abandoning her. Another person said I was clearly a bad daughter who never appreciated my mother's sacrifices. I reported the post. Facebook said it didn't violate community standards. My mom's out now with a court-ordered ankle monitor. She's not supposed to leave the county or contact me or my daughter. But I keep thinking about how she violated the protective order isn't even processed yet and she's already free again. My daughter asked me last night what happens if my mom comes to her graduation. It's in 3 weeks. I told her mom's not allowed within 500 feet of her. My daughter said, but what if she shows up anyway? What if she makes a scene? I didn't have a good answer. Because honestly, I don't know what I'd do if my mom showed up. Call the police? Have her arrested in front of everyone? Let my daughter's graduation turn into a public spectacle? The prosecutor said violations of protective orders are taken seriously. But my mom already skipped a court date and got caught hiding at my sister's house and she's still out on bail. So I don't know how seriously anyone's actually taking this. My daughter said she doesn't want to walk at graduation anymore. She said it's not worth the risk of my mom being there. I told her she earned this moment and she deserves to celebrate. She said nothing feels worth celebrating when she's constantly looking over her shoulder. I haven't slept properly in weeks. Every car that drives past the house makes me check the window. Every unknown number that calls makes my heart race. I keep waiting for my mom to show up or my sister to do something crazy or my family to escalate this further. The preliminary hearing is in 13 days. I still don't know what I'm going to say when they ask me to testify. My mom took a plea deal yesterday. 3 years in state prison, 5 years probation after release, and full restitution of $34,000 plus court fees. She'll be eligible for parole in 18 months if she behaves. My dad called to tell me. His voice was flat. He said mom's lawyer convinced her to take it because if she went to trial, she could have gotten the full 5 years with no chance of early release. He said she signed the papers this morning. I didn't know what to say. I think I expected to feel something, relief or vindication or maybe even guilt. I felt nothing. Just this hollow emptiness where all that anger used to be. He asked if I was happy now. I told him I was never trying to make anyone happy. I was trying to protect my daughter. He said, well, you got what you wanted and hung up. My daughter graduates in 4 days. She's walking. She decided last week that she wasn't going to let my mom take that from her too. Her exact words were, I worked too hard to let her ruin this. The school assigned extra security for graduation after I explained the situation. The principal said they've dealt with restraining orders before and they know how to handle it. 2 officers will be stationed at the entrances. If my mom shows up, they'll remove her before she gets anywhere near the ceremony. My daughter seems calmer knowing that. She's been practicing her speech for the Honor Society induction. She wants to talk about resilience and overcoming obstacles. She hasn't mentioned my mom once in the draft, but I know that's what it's about. How do you talk about resilience without talking about what tried to break you? My sister sent me one final email after the plea deal. She said I should be ashamed. That I destroyed our mother's life and tore apart the family over a mistake. That mom will come out of prison broken and it'll be my fault. I almost responded. I almost wrote back asking her what she would have done if it was her daughter's future that got stolen. If it was her kid having panic attacks and therapy appointments and nightmares about debt collectors. But I didn't. Because she wouldn't understand. She hid mom from the police. She called me a bitch for filing charges. She thinks family means protecting each other no matter what they do. I don't believe that anymore. Family means protecting the people who can't protect themselves. It means standing up when someone crosses a line, even if that someone raised you. My dad moved back into the house last week. He said it felt wrong living there alone knowing mom wouldn't be coming back for years. He's selling it. He told me he can't afford the mortgage on his own anyway since he used their savings on the credit card debt and bail. He asked if I wanted anything from the house before he puts it on the market. Photos, furniture, anything. I said no. My daughter said she didn't want anything either. She said everything in that house just reminds her of grandma and she'd rather start fresh. I think about that a lot. How my mom redecorated her entire house with stolen money and now my daughter can't even look at old family photos without feeling sick. The sentencing is next week. I'm not going. The prosecutor said I don't have to be there since mom took the plea. My presence isn't required anymore. Part of me thinks I should go, should look her in the eye one last time before she goes away. But I can't. I can't sit in that courtroom and watch her cry and listen to her lawyer talk about what a good person she is deep down. My daughter asked what happens when mom gets out in 18 months. If she'll try to contact us. If we'll have to go through all this again. I told her we'd deal with it if it happens. That the protective order extends through her probation period. That we're safe. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know what my mom will be like after prison. I don't know if she'll finally understand what she did or if she'll come out angrier and more resentful. I don't know if my family will ever speak to me again or if this is just permanent now. What I do know is my daughter's credit score is 702. She's going to college in the fall on a full scholarship. She's seeing a therapist who's helping her work through the trauma. She's walking at graduation in 4 days. Those are the things that matter. Not my mom's plea deal or my sister's emails or my dad's disappointment. My daughter gets to have a future now. A real one. Not one buried under debt she didn't create. The university sent her a care package last week. Campus map, school sweatshirt, welcome packet. She has it all spread out on her desk. Sometimes I catch her just staring at it like she still can't believe it's real. Last night she asked me if I regret how everything went down. If I wish I'd handled it differently. I told her the truth. That I'd do it all again exactly the same way. That protecting her was worth losing everyone else. She hugged me and said, "Thank you for choosing me." Like it was ever a choice. Like I could have looked at those credit card statements and just let it go. My family thinks I destroyed my mother over money. They're wrong. I didn't destroy anything. My mom destroyed herself the moment she decided her own comfort was worth more than her granddaughter's future. I just refused to help her bury the evidence. Graduation's on Saturday. My daughter's wearing royal blue. She picked out the dress herself. She looks so grown up in it. So ready for everything that's coming next. I'm bringing my camera. I'm going to take 1,000 photos. And my mom won't be in a single one of them.